Hey everyone, it's Megan here from Meghan Makes Do, and today we're going to be working on the Ranie Sweater, and today we're going to be working on just the back panel. For this pattern, we'll be using Lion Brand's Oh Baby Organic, which is 100% cotton, and we'll be using the color Rose. This is really nice weight 2 cotton yarn, perfect for summer garments. So we will also be using a 4mm crochet hook. Today I'm using Clover Amour. That's a size G crochet hook. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for our back panel, we will be starting with a slip knot on our hook. And then what we're going to do, you'll follow along with the pattern, which you can find on my blog, but we're going to be chaining an odd number of chains that is also a multiple of 3. So you'll notice that for this tutorial, I'm going to be making a small version. So it'll be just like a mini version of the Ranie, but go ahead and follow along with the size that you want to make. For this tutorial, I'll be chaining 39 chains. For my little mini sample. Okay, so once you've gotten the correct number of chains for your size, you'll notice that our chains, you'll see 2 little bars in the front, and then if you flip it over on the back, we have this little back bump here. We're going to be working into our back bumps only. You can do an extra chain here if you'd like, but I just go right ahead and turn over and work right into the first back bump, and we're going to be working single crochets into each of the back bumps of our chains all the way across. So like I said, I have 39 chains. I will end with 39 single crochet, and obviously whatever number chains or single crochets that you have for your size, that's what you should have as well. Now, if you don't like working into the back bumps, feel free to do a foundation single crochet row for row 1, and then you'll just skip the chains at the beginning. Whichever row you prefer, both will work out just fine. So just go ahead and keep single crocheting in the back bumps all the way across. Okay, so here we've reached the end of our row, and now we're going to move on to row 2. So we're going to chain 2, which counts as our first stitch. We're going to turn our work, and again, since the chain 2 counts as our first stitch, we're not going to work into that very first one. We're going to go right into the next one and work a half double crochet, and we're going to work a half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. So here we are at the end of row 2. We've worked our half double crochets. So now to start row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And then we're going to be working a single crochet into the first stitch. Remember, our chain 1s do not count as a stitch. So single crochet, then we're going to chain 2, skip 1, and work a single crochet into that next stitch. And we're just going to repeat that again, chain 2, skip 1, single crochet. And we'll do this all the way across our row. One thing to keep in mind if you're following along with the written pattern is that the chain 2s in between in this row do count in the final stitch count. So your stitch count for row 3 will be significantly larger than the other rows. Okay, so here we are at the end of row 3. So I want to show you what that will look like since we'll be working into a chain at the end. So I've chained 2, I've skipped 1, now I'm single crocheting, chaining 2, skipping this last half double crochet, and then we're going to work our single crochet into the top of the chain 2 from the row below. So it can be a little bit tricky to get into the top of that chain. So what I like to do is take my hook and I kind of wiggle it from the top down into the back bump, and then I push it forward through so I end up with the 2 bars on top of my hook, and then I can work my single crochet. So whatever method you have to get into the top of the chain 2 totally works. Then we're going to be chaining 2 and turning our work to start row 4. The chain 2 again counts as a stitch. So then I'm going to work a half double crochet into the chain 2 space, the first chain 2 space. Then I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to skip the single crochet and again work a half double crochet into the chain 2 space. And we'll repeat that across. So chain 1, skip the single crochet, and work a half double crochet into the chain 2 space. So for this row, we're really mostly going to be working into those chain 2 spaces, and we're going to chain 1 and skip over the single crochets. Okay, so here we are at the end of our row, and again I'm chaining 1, skipping the single crochet and working into that last chain 2 space, and then I will work a half double crochet into the last stitch of the row, and that will complete row 4. So here's what you'll have at the end. You can start to see our lacy stitch pattern, but again, we're just using basic single crochet and half double crochet stitches for this. So now for row 5, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and we're just going to work a single crochet into each stitch and chain across. So I like to go into the chain stitch instead of around the chain stitch for this. Since we have only skipped 1 in between, it's a lot easier to work into that way. So just single crochet all the way across into each stitch and chain stitch. Okay, so here we are at the end of row 5, and for this you'll notice once we get towards the end, we're actually going to be working into some of those chains from the previous row. So again, work a single crochet into that last half double crochet stitch, and then again a single crochet into the top of the chain 2 from the row below. And that completes row 5. So as you can see, we're getting a really nice stitch definition here. Okay, so for row 6, we're going to chain 3 and turn our work. And our chain 3 is going to count as 1 half double crochet plus 1 chain. So we're going to skip the first and second stitch here, since our half double crochet counts as the first one and our chain counts as a stitch, so that we're skipping. And then I'm going to half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and work a half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So in the pattern it'll say half double crochet 2. That means 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And we're going to repeat that all the way across. So chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet, half double crochet. And do that all the way across, and then I'll show you how to work the last little bit of this row as well. Okay, so here we are at the last few stitches. So I've worked some 2 half double crochets, I'm chaining 1, skipping 1, working my next 2 half double crochets, and then chaining 1, and to end row 6 we will work a half double crochet into the last stitch of that row. So here's what you'll have at the end of row 6. For row 7 we're going to chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to work again a single crochet into each stitch across, and again working into the chains, not around them. Okay, so here we are at the end of our row, and we're going to work a single crochet into those last 2 half double crochets, and now we've reached our chain 3, and we're going to work a single crochet into the 3rd and 2nd chain, since one of those counts as a chain 1 and one counts as the top of our first stitch of that row. So you'll work 2 single crochets into the 3rd and 2nd chain from the row below. And that finishes up row 7. For row 8, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Our chain 2 again counts as the first half double crochet stitch, and then we're just going to half double crochet into each stitch across. Okay, so here's the end of row 8, and as you'll see our pattern repeat, you are going to repeat rows 3 through 8 for the designated amount of times that your size requires. And so you'll just follow along with the pattern. You can find the written pattern on my blog as well as a PDF printable version if you prefer that in my shop. But go ahead and repeat rows 3 through 8 for the number of times that you need for your size. Also keep in mind that your panel may have a slight slant to it. It'll be more of like a parallelogram shape than a true square or rectangle. Don't worry, that's totally fine. You will either be able to block it out later, or you can just kind of totally ignore it until you're all the way done. It's not going to affect your finished piece. Okay, so here we are. I've finished my little mini back panel. You can see all of our row repeats are here. When you are done, I suggest that you fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. You'll use this long tail to seam the shoulders together at the top here, but this is what you'll have when you are done. Obviously yours will be a little bit bigger. So stay tuned for part 2 where we'll learn about how to work the front panel.